Hey everybody, how's it going? More trials and tribulations at the saw compound. Not really, it's wintertime, friends. And, well, we got some snow over the weekend, so I planned to push snow yesterday. And what happened was the skid steer wouldn't start, so I plugged her in overnight and, well, went to start her today and no dice. So I just checked my block heater and that's working. So battery's dead, friends. The battery's old in this thing. I should have changed it, but you know, it's just the way it goes. And I'll show you guys what we got going on. It is minus 34 with the wind chill, so I'll do this quickly and then let's go into the saw shop and let's check out some of your guys' questions through email. And that's what we're doing for tonight. Tomorrow night, I'm after work, I'm gonna have to grab a battery and maybe we'll change the battery in 30 below. It's not supposed to warm up for a couple days, so I got to get this thing running. Here's the old girl. I park her in the barn. This has been a good machine. Now, I was going to grab a battery today, but I actually thought that I had another problem, and I didn't. What was happening was when I put the lap bar down and went to start it, this thing wasn't even turning over, so I thought maybe I had a wiring issue or a breaker problem, but no, the switch on the lap bar was sticky. It does that sometimes. So, but yeah, block heater checked, and this thing will turn over, but it just doesn't want to go. So right here's the battery. It's in a nice easy spot. I'll undo these two brackets. I think this is like a group 31 battery. It's a commercial industrial battery, so I'll have to grab another one of these tomorrow and undo the two clamps here and slide another battery. It's due. This battery, friends, is old. I don't even know how old it is. I'm gonna say this battery is probably 8 years old. I hate to say it. Maybe not that old, friends, maybe 6, but yeah, that's how she goes. In cold like this, up in Manitoba in the north, I mean, we're not in the north, but we live in a northern climate here. Stuff goes bad, especially in the winter. So tomorrow I'll have to see if I can get a battery going in this. This machine is super important to our day-to-day here in the winter. This thing has to start and run. So I'm not panicked, friends, but I definitely need to get this thing running. So we'll grab a battery tomorrow. Anyhow, I made a fire in the shop. I'll let it warm up in there, and let's do some of your questions. At least I can help you guys out. There's no helping me tonight, but I'll help you guys out if I can. See you guys in the shop. Okay, we're in the nice, toasty, warm saw shop. What a day. Ah, it is what it is, friends. Wintertime eats batteries and generally makes equipment unhappy. I was looking back through my records. The battery in that thing is about 7 years old. So it's a Cat industrial battery. I think I might go buy another one of those if I can track one down tomorrow. But wow, that's been a good battery. I've noticed that thing's starting to have starting issues here and there, and it clearly needs a battery. I was a little bit nervous though when I first got into that thing. Today it wouldn't even click, and I was like, uh-oh, what's going on here? That machine's cool. It has circuit breakers. It doesn't even have fuses. So if you pop a fuse, there's buttons on the dash and there's circuit breakers. You can reset them. And couldn't make it go. And I don't know if I mentioned this already, but the lap bar, friends, and I think I mentioned outside, I tapped the little contactor on the lap bar and all of a sudden it would turn over. So we'll throw a new battery in that tomorrow. It's actually gonna be above freezing, which is weird. It's been like that all winter. It's gonna be above freezing in a day or two. It is Monday night as you're seeing this, so by Wednesday it'll already be warm. So I might just leave it till Wednesday, give the old girl some time to warm up and get her going. But maybe we'll do a snow clearing video. We haven't done one of those in a while. I got that fancy camera mount around here somewhere, that clamp-on jobby. Maybe I'll use that. Okay, well, since, you know, I'm having a rough day and everything's broken, I might as well help you guys with your broken stuff. close this out. Let's go into my Tin Man Saws YouTube email. Gmail right here. tinmansaws@gmail, if you guys are wondering. Let's start right at the top. Harry Brandt. Thanks for emailing, Harry. Harry says, Tin Man, do you have any input on porting an 044 Stihl? Is stock timing good enough, or would there be some numbers that you would target? Or just open it up and let it breathe? I plan on a 28-inch bar and chain. Thanks for the input. Any input you can give. Just finished an Echo CS600P, widened the exhaust port to 70%, muffler modded, pop-up piston 620 coil, and eliminated the bypass circuit on the high jet. She pulls a 20-inch full comp and an 8-pin sprocket with authority. Fun. That's awesome, Harry. Okay, so Stihl. Got to look in my porting book here. Harry is asking about one of these bad boys. This is my 044. I've had issues with this thing. I'm going to move my chair over here. I've had issues with this thing, but she's a good saw. Stihl 044. That one's stock, not ported. Bone stock. And I run it. I've been in some big timber with that saw, and let me tell you, they're good stock, Harry. Honestly, there's nothing wrong. Main thing with an 044 or a 440, open up the muffler. They definitely need that. Okay. Well, let's go to the best 044 440 I've built. That's Caleb's saw. How you doing, Caleb? I was talking to him earlier today. You guys remember, like 5 years ago, I did a 440 on this channel. If you go in my playlists, there's a video of it. It's like Stihl 044 Monster or Noodle Monster, that saw. Here's the timing numbers on that saw. And that thing, Harry, is still, no pun intended, that thing's still cutting timber, and that is a daily used arborist saw. Caleb does a lot of difficult removals, hardwood. He's in Texas, so that saw has been run in heat 6 months of the year, in sweltering heat. You guys know I was in Houston last year, and whew, it is sticky down there. He loves that saw. I reckon it's probably getting tired, but I wonder how many hours are on that saw now. He figured there's well over 1,500 hours on that saw, maybe 2,000. Like, he uses that thing every day. So here are what I did. These are my notes from that MS440 build. Harry, I used a meteor piston, a stock OEM cylinder. The squish on that saw with no base gasket was 19 thousandths. So with assembly silicone, it add about 3 thousandths to that. So 22,000 squish. Stock numbers without a base gasket. My intake was at 72 after bottom dead center, or 144 total opening. I've done videos on why I time intakes that way. They can open and close at different times. That is actually a thing. I did a video on that last year sometime. Okay, so intake 72 or 144. Exhaust 99 after top dead center. That's a pretty high exhaust roof for a stock saw. Transfers are at 120. So out of the box, that saw had 21 degrees of blowdown. Ported numbers. I widened the exhaust just a hair. My intake I put at 76 or 152. Now, Harry, one thing I will stress on Stihls, unlike Husqvarna, Stihls are a little more picky on intake timing, I find. And you can't push them as far, where the average Husqvarna, I would run it like 154, 156. A Stihl, I'm 150, 152. And that seems to be what works for me and other people I know. So 152 total opening or 76 on the intake. Harry, go back to the build series on that. I did a full series, not as in depth as I do now, but this is way back when. I show the porting on that saw. There is a playlist on that. Go go to my YouTube page and click on the Stihl 044 440 playlist or the Stihl playlist. You'll see that whole saw. Exhaust on that saw, I bumped it up to 98 from 99. My transfers, I did raise them. They're at 118. So I actually shortened the blowdown in that saw. And Harry, what I did was, and this is without a right angle, I actually pitched the transfers up just a hair. And I widened those transfers a bit, and I kind of shaped them. They open a little bit sooner at the front than the back. And again, check out the video. That saw is a 9 out of 10. It's got stupid power. It starts, it idles. It's not too hard on fuel. And that saw has run a 36 on it in hardwood and a 32 most days. And he bucks big wood, water oaks, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, the stuff that grows in the deep south that we don't have up here, that hard timber, that's what he removes. So there you go. 76 intake or 152, exhaust 98, transfers 118. I didn't lighten the piston in that saw. I ran 2 rings, I'm pretty sure. I may have only run one, but again, Harry, as you suspected, those saws stock are really good. Even with a base gasket delete and a muffler mod, that saw will run. So hopefully that helps you. Happy porting. When you're done, send us a video. I'd like to post it in a further episode or future episode. Okay, next one. Philip White. Hi, Tidman. You've been so helpful to me rebuilding my Husky saws. Thanks in large part to you. I now have lightly ported, gasket deleted, 262, 266, 2101. Right on. I miss my 262. I let it... Well, I know where it is. It went to a good fella, a good friend of mine. He'd been looking for one. I had a pristine 262. I have an old video. If any of you guys that are watching are interested, I have an old video I shot. It was minus 40 and the from like 4 or 5 years ago. It's just a quick video of me bucking with a 262 stock. What a monster. If you guys are interested, I can make that video go live. It is loaded. But what a great saw. 2101, I have one there, and then my 298. So we're cut from the same cloth, Philip. I've got another 2101 with a toast piston. I think 2 other 262s for parts. You'll be jealous, but I got all those saws for free with bars and chains from an old logger. I'm not jealous. I'm happy for you. I have so many saws. It's... I like everybody to have saws, not just me. So that's awesome. Good for you. I have the option to buy a Johnsered 630 Super, not a Super 2, for $50. I can't find much info on the Super. Such confusing part names. Do you know if the Super, not Super 2, has a fine thread crank so you could swap the clutch to the better 272 style? My 262 and 266 have a little chatter at idle and when hot. And I've not been successful swapping out that horrible clutch spring. Okay, Phil, I can help you. So Phil is asking about a boot. One of these. This is Johnsered 630 Super. I don't even know if you guys can see my head. You guys love this saw. I love this saw. This thing's silly. I don't know if it'll start. It probably doesn't have any fuel in it. Oh, friends, this thing, no joke. This is, can you tell it's been cold in here? Okay. Woo. Nope, it's not gonna go. Anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed that, me abusing my shoulders. I don't think that saw has any fuel in it. Okay, Philip, there's 3 Johnsereds that are all called 630s. There's the original 630. How do I word this? The original 630 is the same as a 61 Rancher. Same saw. Open transfers. Okay, 630 Super has closed transfer ports. There is no Husqvarna equivalent to that. Other than, I guess, the 262 would be close. So if you like a 262, stock a 630 is a really good saw. Super 2, bigger carburetor, the fine thread clutch usually. All I can say to you is, I can't tell you whether your clutch will be fine thread or coarse thread. It's hard to say. They're all over the map. Chances are it may be fine thread. That one's a fine thread, and that is a 630. I'll tell you the date it was made. So maybe that'll help you. That saw is a 1989. So if that helps you, that's an 89. So, and that has a fine thread clutch. Now, here's a secret, because you guys know I love to help you out. If you have a coarse thread clutch, take your clutch apart, take the spring out, buy a 272 clutch. Even an aftermarket one will often work. Take the shoes, put them on the old center, put your springs in, and you have a fixed new style clutch. It does work. I've done it. Most of the clutches, the shoes are the same. It is the center that is different. So there you go, Philip. Try that. I've done it. It works. That saw has a single spring, but it has the fine thread clutch. And then there's also the 3 spring clutches, which are the better ones. But that actually works. So try that, Philip. I have done it years ago. It works. You can mix and match clutch parts and rebuild your clutch without too much trouble. So, Philip, that saw is, if you ever see that saw run, that saw is a monster. It's not a 630 anymore, though. It's actually a 266. The benefits of a 630, though, bigger carburetor, and the thing I love about the Johnsereds, when you pull the choke, it also puts it on fast idle, like the new saws. The Husqvarnas didn't have that. You had to pull the trigger and hit the latch on the top. So, I love those saws. I might get into a bunch more. I have a bunch hanging, and I love building those things. I'm still on the quest, on the search for the perfect 272 build. I've never gotten there. I've come close, and what I mean perfect is Harvey's saws. The Iron Horse. The Iron Horse's 272 builds are magic. Don't know how he does it, friends. I've even been inside one. I'm close, but he does something that I'm not picking up, friends. His 272s are magic. They light up so quickly with a flick of the finger, and they got big power. Harvey's a master. So there you go, Philip. I hope that helps. I would buy that saw all day long. I have another 630. I love those 630s. Whether it be a 630, a Super, or a Super 2, they're phenomenal saws. They are hard to get parts for, but pretty much everything under the hood is Husqvarna. So as long as the outside of the saw looks pretty good, the rest of it you can mix and match. Okay, let's see what we can find here. M. Cicotelli. That's a good Italian name. I hope I'm saying that right. Hello again, Tin Man. Also wanted to ask you about porting my 288. If I do a base gasket delete, will dropping the cylinder make a big difference in port timing across the board? My thoughts are it would lessen intake, transfers, and exhaust timing. Would it limit too much fuel from entering the combustion? Thanks, Mike. Mike, when you lower the cylinder, whether it be an inch or a mile, 3 things occur. You lower the exhaust, you lower the transfer ports, and you lower the intake port. That does different things to all of them. When you lower the exhaust, you will gain a little bit of compression. It will lower your RPM just a smidge, but you will gain compression. Now, with compression comes low and mid-range power. So, if you're a low and mid-range power guy, I am not, friends. Everything that I build, upper end power and mid-range power. That's just the way I build. I like things to be fairly spicy. But some guys like low to mid-range power. which does have it does have its purposes. So again, more compression, you'll up the lower and mid-range power. You will lower the RPM a bit. When you drop the transfer ports, you will lessen your transfer port timing. Not a huge amount, but it'll affect it a little bit. Remember, you're changing how long the transfers are open, okay? But more often than not, when you do a base gasket delete, your saw will just have more grunt. It'll just pull a little bit better. Now, your intake opens on the way up, where your exhaust opens on the way down and your transfers. So when you lower it, it opens later. When you lower your intake, it opens sooner, which means you actually get more intake timing and more fuel and air into your saw. So, base gasket deletes are a good place to start. Friends, if you're just starting messing with saws, you've master rebuilding them and fixing them and going over them, then start modifying them. At least that's what I did. Figure out what makes them tick and then figure out how to modify them. Start with gasket deletes and go from there. And Mike, I ported that 288. It didn't work out because it was an aftermarket saw and it wasn't my cup of tea. But that saw is nasty. So again, go to the 288 build series. It's in a playlist. Remember, friends, any saw I build, I always put into a playlist. The Pioneer will go in its own separate playlist when I'm done. And if you want to copy or even just see what makes some of my saws tick, if you like what I do, I show everything, friends. I don't hide anything. I show every inch of every saw that I build pretty much because it helps so many of you guys. And you guys are having fun too. So anyhow, I think we'll leave it at that. Tomorrow night's video, or whenever you guys see it, we're going to have to put a battery in that skid steer. I'll get a battery tomorrow and we'll keep going. And then we got to pop crank seals because that's work. This is play. You always got to do your work before your play. I'm going to pop crank seals into the saw. We're going to start putting new AV mounts. We'll have a look at the reed cage and then rinse out the bottom end and we'll start doing assembly on this saw. And then once we get it 80-90% together, we'll build a carburetor and this thing will be running like that. It'll just happen. Anyhow, friends, thanks for watching. Take her easy, and please keep sending me emails. I love your guys' feedback. Feedback really helps. You know, the questions. What are you guys working on? What are your questions? That actually helps me formulate a lot of the videos I make. I take feedback from you guys, from your emails, and I make videos based on the questions I get asked all the time. So keep sending them. I answer them every day. If you don't hear from me, send another one. And I try to answer them regularly in a video like this. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Take her easy, and I'll see you in a couple days. Later.